All right. So, um, my equipment is no longer sitting on my desk. Okay, which gives me more space to actually have my work PC and another my laptop. Not, I'm sorry, another monitor for my work laptop. So now I'm going to have to figure out, which it's a very easy solution. I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna do it. To bring another switch to my desk, and which I already had that originally, but now that switch is gone, and the cable that I was using to interlink the two switches, I'm now using to hook directly to my PC. So I just have to redesign, which is not really designing. It's just it's just placing a switch and getting connectivity, so my lab can sit on the other desk that I was using previously, which is now a storage area for my equipment. Okay, the desk is too big. Okay, to carry out from the perspective of my health issues. I mean, me picking, me picking up a simple box is not a wise decision in my condition. So that desk is now physically stuck in this room. So now I have to figure out another way to utilize it, and storing my equipment was one of those things. Now, um, let's talk about our conclusion to what the last video was about, which was the college versus certifications. Notice I did not say one was better than the other. Okay? Notice my tone and aggression talking about this because look, I joke about 95% of the time, and I mean talk like serious bull crap, making up stories, things that are like completely false. Okay, all right, and people enjoy it. Okay, because I'm kind of a funny guy, but here's the reality. Okay, the 5% of stuff that I take seriously, it is over the top serious because, all right, life is meant to be enjoyed, okay, but it's also meant to be taken seriously, all right, and take a situation like wildlife, the wilderness, a park, okay, all right. Um, there was a Netflix series that I was just watching yesterday, which is pretty damn good. And it literally was about someone just falling off the cliff. Okay, while these two rock climbers were actually going up the actual rock. And the thing is, there was a section of the series where these people were literally illegally staying on the land. And the officer was like, they're like whack a mole. Okay, you move them out of this area, they show up somewhere else. Okay, and the reality is, these people felt that they were entitled to live off the land and in a safe environment in the park. Okay, all right. Just because you're entitled to something in your mind doesn't give you the right, from an ethical perspective, to bully yourself in that position. Okay, but this happens all the time. Okay, now it's also not beneficial to you in life to just go with the flow. Okay, that's not taking life seriously. All right, now, next point. Okay, give me 1 second, I gotta blow my nose. Next point is, um, I have purchased the domain of www.therottingloop.com. Now, years ago, okay, when I tried to do this, okay, they were holding that domain hostage, which is what these guys do, okay, from a concept of fear of loss. Now, in sales, okay, if you've ever done sales, fear of loss is that concept of creating, first of all, explaining to a customer why they need the product. Okay, it doesn't matter what the product is. We call them widgets, right? Okay, why your job as a salesman is to explain to the customer why they need this widget. Okay, all right, and also is to give them a fear of loss, because our reaction to fear is very, very, very dramatic and very responsive, meaning that we make split decisions, really fast decisions, because of the fear factor. And that fear factor is, if you don't act now, this is what happens. Okay, and this is what happens when you're fighting for your life. Okay, all right. So now they were trying to charge me multi thousands of dollars because I had previously lapsed on paying the bill, all right, and trying to get that back together. Okay, the company holds it hostage. So you go and get a domain name called abc.com. Okay, and here's the thing. Okay, you decide not to use it next year. Okay, so your plan is to go back the following year, all right, and re-establish that domain name. However, probably for like a 5 year period, okay, all right, they know in the back of their mind that if you're going to want that domain back, you're going to pay out the ass for it. Okay, all right, and that wasn't the case with me. I was like, yo, I'll just wait the 5 years, or 10 years, and wait until it goes back to regular registry, meaning that it has been released from that entity, and now it's just a normal domain name that has not been registered yet, and I'm paying dollars compared to thousands of dollars. All right, so for right now, I'm on a month to month basis. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how to get WordPress up and running. All right, so we can start getting the page set up. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. Where last time I was creating a training, a really detailed training session for people, and that was a training site. This is going to be something different, and um, the content is going to be network related. Okay, network relation only. Okay, and we're going to be more. Now, again, this is just the idea that I'm throwing off the top of my head. I'm not saying this is written in stone, but we're going to talk about the network life. Okay, all right, and what we are and who we are. Okay, forget all that stuff about new technology coming out and all that crap. Okay, all right, we're going to talk about our lives. All right, being a network engineer, blah 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 blah. Okay, all right. So there is always unlimited content in anything we do. Okay, so that is what's there. Okay, now other thing. Okay, as I'm giving you an update here, we are down to services. Okay, in our training. Now remember, guys. Okay, something like frame relay, VPN, and tunnels, we're not even going to discuss. Okay, all right. Um, this was section 7, 8. Excuse me, dang, I got hiccups. And 9. Okay, which I don't know. Oh, my bad. Okay. These were additions to the CCNA. Okay, back in the day. So I had updated this course with those 3 sections. Now, this is where the curriculum started changing, okay, and I had a huge problem with it. Okay, and if this is the way it is now, I still have the same problem with it. Okay, of course I'm not going to know what's on the CCNA, because that feat has been conquered years ago. So I'm not going to keep going back and update stuff. Okay, considering the fact that I might get $25 a month, okay, for the stuff on Udemy, and I'm just not. It's just not worth it. Okay, all right. People have to understand this: having a product that you're making not even $50 a month off of, even if you were, is not worth it. Okay, now from a sales perspective, what you're telling me as customers that my content isn't worth what it's worth. Okay, and the 70 hours that I put into this course was meant for a constant income coming back over a monthly period. Okay, now don't get me wrong, $25, $50, okay, hey, that's lunch, right? So I'll take it, right? But I'm not going to keep going back to the course and update and put all my hours in where there's no return on investment. Okay, all right. Any possible person that has any basic business sense, okay, should be thinking that way in some way, shape, or form. Okay, what I'm putting into this, what am I getting out of it? Okay, so the customers made it very clear, okay, that they feel that their training, okay, which I had spent, okay, $1,000 for a CCNA course, okay, all right, and I'm sorry, $300 for a CCNA course. Okay, and I was still on the price. Okay, and my boot camp was $3,000 for CCIE, and I can't tell you how much I spent. But from CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE with books, training material, all that stuff came up to $12,000. Okay, over the period of time, and it was worth every penny. Okay, all right. I am going to probably spend that just for CCIE security, because you got to understand that it's not just a firewall that I have to worry about. I have to worry about firepower. I have to worry about the software systems that sit on a server. Okay? All right? And those, number one thing, to get the features to work for me to practice, guess what? Licensing. Okay, so this lab that I'm going to be building for CCI security, which I'm going to be starting next week, it's going to be costly, and it's going to be worth every penny. My return on investment of a skill set that I'm going to learn is going to be priceless. Okay, so now let me pause real quick. All right, so now. Okay, so I'm going to be picking and choosing because Section 9 is a lot bigger than I thought it was. And in fact, it definitely is complete. And I'm amazed that I had added this much information. Okay, but here's the reality. Okay, you're in an industry, okay, and most people don't know this until they get to, until they're in the field for a while. But here's the thing, okay, and I hate to bust your bubble, but we do not take CCNA seriously, and there's a reason for it, okay, all right, it is called cheating, okay. Most people, okay, call them rogue agents, whatever you want to call them, okay? They are cheating on the exam, getting real questions that are being brain dumped and lifted from the actual system itself via whatever method, and selling this on the internet in foreign countries, okay? Meaning that a person who does this, okay, and gets certified, they're only doing it for a particular reason, and that is money. They have no concept and no ability to learn the material. Cisco certifications has a mission in mind and a purpose. Okay, the questions are worded very specifically. Okay, all right. And it is one of the hardest exams in the IT field. Now, not the hardest, one of the hardest. Okay, God help anyone who goes for a Oracle certification. I give it props. Okay, but here's the reality. Okay, all right, you are supposed to go through all this material. Okay, think about what we've gone through so far. Let's leave it all the way up to the routing protocols. Okay, so we have covered what a network is, the OSI model, TCP traffic. Okay, all right. We talked about, and let's go a little bit deeper. Oh, what happened? Okay, the three-way handshake, TCP headers, GDP headers, windowing, SQL numbers. Okay, we talked about all 7 layers. Okay, we talked about cabling, what network devices are, what a switch is, the purpose of a router, Ethernet, 802.13. Okay, cabling types, pinouts. Okay, and that's just in section 1. Okay, all right. Now, guys, that's a lot of information. Okay, why do you think it takes 70 hours of just lecture and me doing the labs, not you doing them? Meaning that if I had a CCNA course, okay, it's not going to be 5 days, man. Okay, it's going to be 2, 3, 4 months long to go through all the material in a academic method. Okay. All right? There's no way in hell I'm going to charge $3,000 and sit you down for 5 days and cover all this material and expect anything of a of it being stuck or you walking out of my classroom as a skilled individual. Guys, it is highway robbery from my perspective. Okay, now would I take that course? For a 5-day course, you're absolutely right. Okay, in 2 scenarios. Normally with boot camps, you're allowed to take them over, but like now, I'm looking at Narbig's security course. It is a 5-day course. Okay, and I am questioning now what I'm going to do it, which most likely I'm going to. Okay, but there is no retakes. All right, but I need to find out if it's going to be recorded, so I can go back and watch those recordings. Okay, if it's not, we gotta understand what's happening. I'm giving someone $3,000, okay, for 5-day course to really learn what? Because learning it is only learned once it's stuck in your head over a period of time. Okay, and 5 days is no time whatsoever. All right, so we have to, and not to mention the fact we're not covering everything on the blueprint, which I thought we was. Okay, all right. So I need to go back and look at the description of a security course because I thought it was a CCIE security course, and that is not Narbig's fault. That's mine for just assuming. Okay, because I took a CCIE boot camp. Okay, now that boot camp did have its purpose, okay, all right? And I'm going to tell you right now, all right? There was a question that I had, and Narbig had answered that question that I had 5 times. He never bitched, he never complained, his body language never changed, and in the class of 20-some people, this man refused to move on with the class until I understood it. That's 5 different descriptions. And in the end, he was like, okay, did I answer your question? Yo, have no illusions whatsoever. That's a fucking instructor. Okay? Alright? Once I was done, he was like, good. Okay? And he moved on. Every explanation was completely different. He realized I wasn't getting it. Okay? Alright? And he was not moving on with that class until I got it. Alright? Yo, man, you got to give the man props, yo. Okay? That's something that's worth the money. Okay? That is worth every $3,000 I paid for that damn boot camp. I don't care what else I learned. That right there, that's a man who gives a shit. That's a man who takes his stuff seriously. Okay? And I have no illusions. If you ever met Narbig, That man is a sarcastic mofo across the board and fucking hilarious. All right, but that's my point. Narby might talk shit 95% of the time, but his serious side is that 5% is off the chart. Okay? All right? Narby does what he does. Narby is Narby. Okay? All right? Now, I've never been to an I&E boot camp. Okay? I still disagree with their extra layers on top of the on that stuff. And it's just not something that draws my attention to it. However, don't get it twisted. Okay, their videos, all right. Okay, I have listened to Brian McGavin so many times because I used to listen to his audio while I was stuck in traffic. And you gotta understand, Route 66 in Virginia, okay, that is a 2-hour commute from Virginia, Northern Virginia, okay, around Manassas area to DC is a 2-hour commute in and a 2-hour commute out. So that's 4 hours a day sitting in traffic that I did not care about because I had Brian McGannon's audio in the background. Okay? All right. So now, I have listened to that man so much that his voice started becoming annoying, which has nothing to do with him. Okay? Because his voice was always in my head. It was psychologically, it's like Chinese water torture. Okay? Alright? Over a period of time. Now, I have phased out of Brian McGavin for years, so going back to him now is no big deal. But I was getting a mental complex with it. Okay? Just like I was getting a mental complex with one of the dogs that I had. Alright? That we had to get rid of because all he did was whine. Okay? And it was such a faded whine that it always sounded like something was squeaking, or like one of my fans in my rack was needed to be oiled, or someone was rubbing a knife and fork together, or taking metal across the chalkboard. All right, it was really that annoying, and you could deal with a lot of stuff, but something that is constant in the background, it messes with your psyche. Okay? All right? So this wasn't Brian McGavin's fault. Okay? This is my fault for listening to him so much. All right? But that complex is gone. Okay? So going back to his material is going to be very simple. Okay? So now. Okay. So let's continue on. Okay? What I wanted to show you was okay. So my concept here, let's finish this thought. The concept is putting more stuff. If the industry already does not take CCNA seriously. Now, was I taken seriously as a CCNA? You goddamn right I was. Okay, all right. Because not only was I a CCNA, I had the knowledge to back it up. Okay. Here's the reality. All right, you're a scientist. Okay. And you are going to ask me basic questions that a basic scientist would know. Well, I'm a cheater, okay? So I'm trying to bullshit my way through the interview. So the questions that you ask, my responses, okay, are clearly clear. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I don't know this. How can I know something that I don't know? We don't know what we don't know. So getting caught into a trap is so easy. Okay? So, scientists ask me, hey, what's the speed of light? Right? Automatically, he knows I'm full of shit. And I come up with some number. Now, the correct answer is 186,282 miles per second. Okay? Alright, but I'm bullshitting my way through this. I'm trying to become a scientist without the knowledge to back it up. Okay? And that person who's interviewing me is going to catch that like this. He's not going to say a word. You're not going to know that he caught you. Okay? And you're going to walk out saying, yeah, I nailed it. Okay? But you're not going to get a phone call back. Alright? Okay? So this is done in our industry all the time. Okay? Now, you got two types of interviewers. One who is trying to figure out what you don't know. Okay? They got chips on their shoulders. Okay? All right, And then 9 times out of 10 is not the interview or the people that you want to be interviewing with. Okay. The second one is they will ask you specific questions, and when you start bullshitting, that's a red flag. If you tell them, if you tell them, I don't know, okay. The next question would be, well, okay, so you don't know this technology, but have you ever heard of it? Yes. So how do you think it works? Okay, so what this question is right now is a person on the other side of the table trying to get a image and a idea of your thought process, because in the reality, troubleshooting is about a thought process. Okay, this is a interviewer that is trying to find out if you can fit and where you can fit on the team. That's the type of interview that you want to have. Okay, he's not dismissive. He sees, and as you articulate your thoughts via body language and verbal responses, this man can have an idea of where you sit on that intellectual table. And okay, this guy, he's honest. He has no fear of saying I don't know. And the boy has a thought process there. He could be a real asset to the team. Okay, all right, and it's obvious he's capable of reading and being able to learn the technology. Okay, yeah, this is a candidate we want to have. Let's give him an offer. All right, but if your industry does not take CCNAs seriously because the majority of the people are full of shit trying to get into a field they don't belong in because they don't have the knowledge to back it up, okay, we start looking at CCNAs downplaying their certification. Because that's exactly what it does. It devalues the certification. Okay, and you have to be someone that comes to that interview with the knowledge to back up that CCNA certification, which is what they want to see and which is rare, okay, on that level. Now, okay, that's why CCNPs are taken seriously. Okay, hey, the man got a CCNP. All right. He went through some bullshit to get that damn CCNP. First question I'm going to ask you, how long did it take you? Well, shit, man. Advanced routing took me a year. I was trying to do it in 3 months, and it took me 12 months. Okay, that knowledge kicked my ass. Okay, this gives them some type of foundation of and verification that you went through the grind. Okay, so because you just can't make this shit up. All right? I mean, plain and simple. Now, you can take what I said today and use it in an interview, okay? But then the technical questions start, okay? And sorry, guys, you just don't get it. I can ask you a yes or no question. I can ask you a specific question that the response is an essay. I can ask you a question that it's either right or wrong, or I could ask you a question where it's not black and white, and the gray areas and the variables you will continue talking on that subject until they tell you to just stop. Okay? All right? You have no power. They do. Okay? The only power you have is to counter that power, okay, with the force of your knowledge. Okay? Meaning that you have no worries walking out, okay, on the street of dust, okay, in the Western days and drawing your weapon, because you have that skill set and you've been practicing. Okay? All right, so now, with that being said, the main point is this. You can't make stronger CCNAs by just adding more stuff to the curriculum. If the CCNAs are looked upon or looked down upon, okay, because of the cheating aspect, all right, and the bottom line is, if it's possible, people are going to do it, okay? It's only going to be the very few that are going to take the training seriously. Cisco gave you all the tools. Okay, it is up to you to utilize those tools. If this is something you really want to learn, going through the material is just part of it. Okay, all right. At some point, you're going to realize that there's no end to this. So, there's several layers of deepness. Okay, several layers of deepness that one can go. But if you're trying to learn it all, you're never going to get off that subject. Okay. And I don't care what it is. All right? Okay? We haven't even dove even close to the deepness of OSPF. Okay? But you now know it exists. You know how to install it. Okay? We haven't even done a lab on it yet. Okay? So now, but because of the previous lab of EIGRP, in your mind, you know what router OSPF is. Okay? Just like you know what router EIGRP is. Router RIP. Okay? So now, you're able to at least enable routing protocols in a network, okay, and do it at a level where you can lab this at work, okay, with some, with some equipment or some virtualization, some virtual routers, all right, and see how it works. Now, here's the thing, okay. We were talking about Microsoft and Cisco the other day, but here's the thing. I think it was yesterday, but now, everything that you have learned and I have taught you, every command that I've done, okay, everything is exactly how it's done at work, okay? This is never the case, guys. Normally, okay, another certification that's really hard to get, like F5, load balancing technology, okay? All right, F5 does a lot more things than just load balancing traffic. Okay, it's a lot more than just setting up pools and blah 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 blah. Now, the last company I worked for, I had to manage one. Okay, but when stuff, there's a lot of times I had to call support because I'm not an F5 guy. So I was managing something I didn't know, but was still able to get the job done. But there were some things that I had no idea what the hell to do. Okay, and I needed to get F5 support to give me the syntax because I didn't know how to write the code. Okay, so you gotta understand that this is another hard certification that I wouldn't wish anyone to go through, but a person who's going through it is someone who really wants that skill set. All right, so now, so you want stronger CCNAs. So what do? You add more to the curriculum. What the hell? You haven't even solved the problem, okay, of having more real CCNAs coming to the interview table. So you figure you're going to fix the problem by adding more topics? Okay? All right? Guys, what the hell? All right? There's enough stuff in there, okay? Like me adding NAT, okay? Is God, this thing's doing some weird stuff. Okay, adding that. Okay, I don't think that was added. I think that there's something that I added because it should have been in the CCNA originally. I don't know how that got down here in section 6, but nonetheless, services. Okay, yeah, these are all CCNA topics, but like tunnels. Okay, all right. It's just, guys, I just don't see you adding tunnels and VPN and frame relay at that level now, at that time, because I'm sure at this point frame relay has been removed from the CCNA, but I don't know. Okay, and okay, SHRP and IP version 6. Now, IP version 6, yeah, I can get that. Okay, but these topics are easily more professional level topics, okay, and throwing these topics into a CCNA course and making the course even longer and more information that needs to be needed does not create stronger CCNAs. Okay? Because they're still going to cheat. All right? Okay? So, now, going through the interview process, it's one of those things where, and it boggles my mind. You've been in the field for 20 years, and you still cannot create a job description for people that you want to hire. So what do? You go out to the internet, okay, and just copy somebody else's job description, and that's what you advertise, okay, for hiring people out there. Meaning that you are already telling me at that point that, dude, it's dishonest. It's like you should be able, word for word, to create your own job description. Now, okay, I say this, okay, because this is what I would do as a business owner of a network company, okay? It doesn't mean, all right, that these people are incapable of doing it. It means that they're just lazy, okay? And laziness is a byproduct of being overworked in a lot of cases. And let's not get it twisted, all right? My statement here is not downplaying their ability to create a job description. Okay, it is literally the reality that I want to plan you for you to plan for, and that is being overworked. Okay, being overworked means that you are a senior guy. You finally hit senior level, and you're playing with the big boys now, which, my favorite saying. And here's the reality. All right, you don't just get one project. Okay, you get 15. And you're managing 15 projects. Okay, meaning that you got to have some kind of sense of time management, some kind of sense of multitasking, going to meetings, okay, and dealing with different PMs of different projects, okay. All right, one PM might have several projects underneath their belt, all right, and you are the network guy for that project. So every time something is done, and not to mention the fact you got to build time to that project, okay, all right, you got to deny new projects coming in. All right, and which you got to go through your manager to do so, saying, "Hey, my workload's already too much." Okay, and your manager is going to say, "Okay, I'll send it to somebody else," or, "Hey, I don't have anybody else. Everybody's overworked. We're still trying to hire more people, so just do what do what you can do. Handle it your best way." Okay, all right. Most of the time, you're set to 40 hours a week. Okay, it's not because they care about you being overworked. It's because they don't want to pay the bill, okay, of you doing overtime. Okay, some projects are unlimited overtime. Okay, and you can have some pretty nice paychecks with those when you're a contractor or even full-time employee. All right, now over a certain hourly rate, like not $5 an hour, maybe $20 an hour. Okay, depending on your state. You got to understand two things. One, after a certain hourly rate, you don't get time and a half. You get straight pay. Okay? That's one. And two, you need to understand if you're at an at-will state. Okay? In my tri-state area of Virginia, Maryland, and D.C., it's an at-will state. Meaning that they can let you go anytime. All right? And everybody in this tri-state area knows this. So if you're interviewing someone, okay, that's out of state and they question your time on the job, okay, all right, dude, dude, hey, I hate to break it to you, man, but you're out of your realm here. You have no idea what at-will state is because they're not. They never heard the term. Okay, so when they see a 3-month contract, okay, they look at the fact that you're not going to stay with them long, okay, and they don't know that you've been looking for a long-term contract, Okay, and I'm gonna tell you, I've had 5 year and 2 year contracts that have ended in 3 months. Okay, because they don't have to tell you why they're letting you go. And a lot of times in the background, it has nothing to do with your work. It has to do with their financing. Okay, making promises that they can't do. Okay, making not meeting deadlines. Okay, because in these contracts, okay, hold on a second. In these contracts, they have deadlines. So by November, we need to have this much, 33% of the work done, and then we'll give you another check for you to continue or and pay and continue on. Now, if they miss that deadline, two things is going to happen. One, they don't get that next check. That means they can't pay their employees, so they got to fire them because they can't pay them. Okay, and two, they're going to start being fined by the government or by the organization that hired them because they're non-compliant with their with the SLA or the actual contract agreement. All right. Sorry, my nose is going crazy. So you could get fired just because they couldn't do that and they got no money and they're and you need to understand something. Okay, it ain't all bad. Okay, all right. It's time for you to go. All right. Hey, just you can dwell on it all you want. Okay, but it's an at-will state. They don't have to justify or give you any answers whatsoever. Okay, all right. They don't have to, and they're not going to. You're not going to get a reason. All right. The reality is, if you were fired today, 3 months later in a 2 year contract, you need to understand that that is the best thing that's ever happened to you, okay? Because at 3 months into it, they couldn't even sustain for 3 months on that contract, okay? All right? So it's either two sides of the coin. One, we are not doing what we promised and incapable of providing the level of service that the customer is expecting, or the customer is just a pain in the ass. And that happens all the time. Okay? All right? Now, we have ABC, company ABC and company DEF. DEF has an internal network. Engineers, okay? Staff of 10. Okay? You got some firewall guys, you got some server guys, you got some network guys, okay? Now, you got your LAN guys, you got your WAN guys. Now, DEF decides, the VP, the higher ups, that they're going to hire ABC as a consultant for this major project that they have thrown millions of dollars at. And DEF employees are now salty and upset because why we could have did this project, okay? But there, you got to understand, there's a reason why this company, okay, is, and I'm telling you guys, you have to stop looking at life as a personal attack. All right, there are reasons why this is done. Okay, and when a consulting team comes in, okay, every time something is not done correctly or something goes wrong, we're the ones, the consultants, that are blamed, and you, the employees, are safe. You don't want that heat on you. Okay, but here's the thing. You're salty. You're insulted. Okay. All right. The company spent that money for a reason, and they're spending a lot of money too for that consultant. They want this job done now, and you, as employees, based on history, okay, your time for deliverable is no way near what they're trying to accomplish in this timeline. Okay. So we're going to utilize our staff internally. Okay, for certain types of workload, and now bring in new guys on a contract, and now I got double the actual firepower to get things done. Okay, this is just smart business, guys. Okay, all right, okay, but internally now they're upset and their feelings are hurt. So they are going to make it very difficult for the consultants to do their job by blaming you for things that never happened. Okay, it's Kyle's fault. Okay, all right, he did this. All right, we told him to do this, which they didn't. Okay, now you got this soap opera drama that you just walked into. Okay, now, like sands of an hourglass, these are the networks of our lives. Okay, guys, it's what we deal with. Okay, all right. Why? Because we're in the business of providing network connectivity, allowing and denying access and services for customers, not animals, okay, not pets, but people, okay? And people have feelings and they get disrupted. Regardless if they lost the mission idea in their head and being over dramatic, it doesn't matter. They're your customer. Okay? All right? And if you dismiss your customer, you're not going to last long. You're in the service of catering to a human being. Okay? In the sense of providing a service. And I don't care if you are working at Wendy's, which I used to work there, by the way. All right. Okay. You're still providing a service to a customer. So, my advice to you is to give a shit, to care, okay, and take care of your customer. Okay? Because if you're not doing that, you could be the smartest technical person on the planet, but you're not going far. Now, last thing I want to talk about in this update. Okay? I actually went through and I want to give you an idea of what is in the professional level. Okay? And guys, this is not complete. Okay? All right? So these are the things that eventually we're going to be talking about. Okay? All right? So like PAP and CHAP, not complete. Okay? I have to go through and go through these services, okay, and create a documentation curriculum in order for us to discuss this. Okay? All right? Same thing with art manipulation. Okay? We're not going to be talking about ripped at this level. Okay? We're going to go right to EIGRP, and now look at this. Yeah. And look what's in there. Stub areas, which we never talked about. Because it's not. This is a more advanced topic to talk about. You don't need to understand stub layers when you're trying to learn the basics. Okay, why? Okay, all right. We can discuss that in a more detailed video when we start talking about professional level technologies. Okay, now I'm the one that's labeling these as professional. It doesn't mean that you can't learn these stub areas when I taught EIGRP in the first place. Okay, but I want you to understand. Here's our stub areas for OSPF. I told you guys it keeps on going. Okay, all right. So remember in OSPF we talked about if I had area 300 that was sitting on 200 but not touching area 0, that we were not going to transmit or transit routes from area 300 into 200 or even into 100 or to area 0 because it's not touching area 0. Everything has to go into area 0 before it can go into other areas. So our virtual link, what that does is it extends the area 0 over to area 300. So 300 can now bring routes into area 0. It's called a virtual link. Okay? All right? So that's a topic we never talked about. But I did tell you there was a way of getting that done, right? Okay? Now, a huge topic, redistribution. Okay? BGP, I thought BGP was not complete, and it's not. But wow, whoa, that's a lot more than I thought. Route maps needs to be created. Okay. So you can see I spent some time on this. Um, but I have to go through each section, like DMVPN. I mean, I gotta create the whole thing. Okay. Um, so yeah, guys, we're about to get into some real stuff. Okay. And we have not even finished covering the basics yet. Okay. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what is there, and I'm actually shocked that I actually went this far with this CCNP level. Guys, that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work, and now you understand what I'm talking about, guys. This is behind the scenes work that every one of these topics I had to read about and decide what I wanted to discuss about these topics. Okay, the only way I can do that is obviously having some type of idea what these topics are, and some of it is from just out of my brain and just putting it down, and some of it is going through documentation to make sure I don't miss anything. Oh my god, my nose. I'm sorry. So, that ends this update. And thank you very much for listening. And of course, guys, always be strong, be determined, be Cisco.